Now we come to the end of the road. Okay, let's just dive into phase 3. Welcome to Super Ginge, my friends. Before we start, yes, I know I missed one film from phase 2. I feel really bad because the film that I missed is Ant-Man. So what I'll do is I'll start with Ant-Man to round off phase 2 and we'll jump straight into phase 3. Okay, let's get to it. Ant-Man. Paul Rudd plays Scott Lang. Criminal turned criminal, but it's mainly because he can't get a job in decent society. Then Hank Pym recruits him to become the Ant-Man. There's a forgettable villain played by the bald guy from the first series of House of Cards. And we get introduced to Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp, eventually. But the part of the movie that I particularly loved is when they enlarged the Thomas the Tank Engine train. You guys know that I'm a big Thomas fan. Of course I'm going to love that scene. And it's when we first discover the Quantum Realm, which plays in later. Okay, now we can jump into phase 3. Captain America, Civil War. So remember in Age of Ultron, the whole thing with Sokovia? Yeah, no one was really happy with the destruction they caused. So they introduced the Sokovia Accord to try and put the Avengers in line. Captain America is against this idea, Tony Stark is for this idea. People take sides. We get introduced to Chadwick Boseman's superb take on T'Challa, aka the Black Panther, and introduced to Baron Zemo. Big airport fight, which is amazing. And then you find out that not only did the Winter Soldier kill Tony Stark's parents, but that Captain America knew about it. Big fight between the three of them, and Avengers is shattered. Doctor Strange. Egotist Stephen Strange has a car accident that totally destroys his hands, goes to try and get his hands fixed and winds up becoming, a mystical Time Lord. Tilda Swinton's in it and was caused massive controversy because of the whitewashing scandal. Mads Mikkelsen plays yet another forgettable villain. Oh yeah, and the big CGI villain is Dormammu, who is actually Benedict Cumberbatch in a CGI suit. Oh, and Mordo, who is Doctor Strange's mentor, is going to go out and try and kill all the sorcerers. I am not going to insult the actor who plays him by butchering the pronunciation of his name, but he is absolutely fantastic. And that is the rivalry that I want to see going forward. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Kurt Russell turns up and he is Peter Quill's dad, otherwise known as Eagle. Comes this close to making Peter Quill a bad guy until he makes the dumbest move in the world and reveals that he put a tumour in his mum's head and killed her. They have a big fight, Eagle gets destroyed, and Yondu dies in one of the most emotional scenes that I had watched up to this point. And then you get a teaser about the potential birth of Adam Warlock. Spider-Man Homecoming. Peter Parker made his debut in Captain America Civil War, played by the excellent Tom Holland. Also, Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. Woo! Robert Downey Jr. is essentially now the Uncle Ben of his life. Gives Spider-Man a new suit. Peter Parker, being a teenager, pushing the boundaries, tries to take on Michael Keaton's Vulture. Tony Stark takes the suit off Peter Parker. Obviously, Peter Parker proves himself by defeating Vulture. Stark is going to make him an Avenger, but Parker turns it down to stick to being the friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. Thor Ragnarok. Taika Waititi takes the helm of this third Thor film and injects a massive breath of fresh air into it. Thor finds out that Loki has been impersonating his dad all along. They go to get him on Earth and turns out that he's not where he left him, and Odin straight up dies. Not before revealing that they have a sister, Hela, the goddess of death, played by the superb Cate Blanchett. She kicks both Thor and Loki's asses, destroys Mjolnir, and Thor winds up on Sakaar, working for Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster in a fighting den. And through this you find out that the Hulk has been living there for 2 years, and is Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster's prize fighter. Thor and Hulk fight it out in the ring but don't get a clear winner. Loki has made it to Sakaar and is the Grandmaster's right-hand man, because of course he is, it's Loki, and we get introduced to one of the best comic relief characters of Taika Waititi's court. Hey, I'm Coog. If anyone was offended by that accent, I deeply apologise. So this band of merry, we call them men or aliens, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, them and Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie decide to bust out, but of course they still have the Goddess of Death to deal with because she is burning everything to the ground. And Hela takes out one of Thor's eyes, and then they have to cause the very thing that they were hoping not to cause, which was Ragnarok. And straight up blow up Asgard. Black Panther. Wakanda forever. No accents this time because it could be extremely racist. T'Challa's now king and having to manage Wakanda. Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger turns up and claims the right to the throne, because it turns out that he is T'Challa's cousin, because T'Challa's dad had essentially exiled them from Wakanda. Killmonger beats the absolute crap out of T'Challa to the point where he's almost dead, until he ingests this kind of heart-shaped herb which grants him the powers of the Black Panther. There winds up essentially being a Wakandan civil war between those who support the rightful King T'Challa and those who support Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger. And we have such a great villain. Of course they won't kill him off. No, they straight up kill him. And it ends with Wakanda officially announcing themselves to the world that they've had all this advanced technology for decades and never told anybody about it. Avengers Infinity War. This is essentially Marvel's snuff film. Big Purple Thanos, played brilliantly by Josh Brolin, finally arrives on the scene. He's coming for the Infinity Stones and destroying everything in his wake to make it possible, because he plans to wipe out half the life in the universe, something that's becoming more and more understandable with every year that goes past on planet Earth. So the Avengers try to beat him, and I emphasise try because he kicks all of their asses, gathers all of the Infinity Stones, snaps his fingers, and half of all life is completely annihilated. Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's ironic that I forgot about Ant-Man from Phase 2 because his sequel in Phase 3 is completely forgettable. The only thing you really need to pay attention to in this film is the post-credit scene. Scott goes into the quantum realm to try and harvest some energy to make the character of Ghost stay stable in our universe, and while he's there, the Thanos snap happens and wipes everybody out, so he is stuck in the quantum realm. Captain Marvel. Brie Larson's Carol Danvers is a part of this Kree extermination squad. The Kree and the Skrull have been in this war for God knows how many years, and they're trying to hunt down the Skrull to essentially wipe them out. It leads into 90s Earth, where they run into a de-aged Nick Fury and Phil Coulson. They eventually capture Talos, who is the leader of the Skrulls, only to find out, and a nice plot twist, the Skrulls aren't the bad guys. It also turns out that Captain Marvel had amnesia when she got her powers, and they recruited her as Verse, one of their Kree hunting party. She finally becomes aware of this, kicks everybody's ass, and heads off into outer space to continue fighting the good fight. But leaves a pager for Nick Fury for him to contact her in case of an emergency, which he did in the Thanos snap. Avengers Endgame. The remaining Avengers, along with Captain Marvel, go to find Thanos. He's used the Infinity Stones' energy to destroy the Infinity Stones so that his actions cannot be undone, and Thor straight up chops his head off. Then we jump forward in time 5 years. Everyone is trying to move on from the Thanos snap, all aside from Hawkeye. He wasn't in the first film, but you find out that his entire family got wiped out by the snap, and he goes on a murderous rampage as his new persona, Ronin. Then a rat steps on some buttons in a storage unit and releases Ant-Man! He's been in the quantum realm, which only feels like about 5 months for him. Goes searching for the remaining Avengers, and they decide to come up with a plan. The Avengers are going to use the quantum realm to travel back in time to recollect all the Infinity Stones and snap everybody back. And they start doing really well, aside from the fact that Black Widow has to sacrifice herself to get the Soul Stone. And Nebula gets captured by 2014 Thanos from Guardians of the Galaxy, reads her mind, sees everything that's about to come, and decides he's got to do something about it. So they get back with all the stones, but Thanos decides to start his attack now. Professor Hulk manages to wield the gauntlet, snap his fingers, but you don't think they've been brought back to life. Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man get the crap kicked out of them by Thanos, but you get the loudest cheer in the world because you find out Captain America can lift Mjolnir. So it looks like the heroes are going to get their asses kicked again, because it's only Steve Rogers standing against Thanos' entire army. Then everybody starts to come through Doctor Strange's portals. And boy, do we have one of the best fight sequences in cinematic history! Which sadly ends with Tony Stark having to make the ultimate sacrifice play. Tony Stark gets the Iron Gauntlet, snaps Thanos and his army, but in turn, Stark dies. Captain America decides to go back and return all the Infinity Stones, but he doesn't come back as the Captain America we know. He's Old Man Cap, and passes the shield onto Anthony Mackie's Falcon. And the final shot is Captain America back in the past with Peggy Carter. Beautiful end to the Infinity Saga. But Marvel being Marvel, it doesn't end there. Spider-Man Far From Home. Peter Parker's feeling the pressure now that Tony Stark is dead. People are looking at him to be the next Iron Man. He doesn't feel like he's up to the task. Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio turns up to recruit Peter Parker to try and stop all these villains that have already taken out his world. During the course of these events, Peter Parker realises that he's not the man to take up Iron Man's mantle, that it's Mysterio. But wait! After Peter Parker essentially hands Mysterio the keys to Stark's empire, they find out it's been all an illusion just to get his hands on that tech. And of course pretend to be the superhero that he wants to be. Parker realises he's made a mistake, and it takes a talk from Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan to inspire him to go and kick Mysterio's ass, which he does, but not without one last parting shot. Reveals Spider-Man as Peter Parker. And that is officially how Phase 3 and the Infinity Saga came to a close. Thank you to everybody who's watched the abridged versions. I'm Super, I'm Ginger, and I gotta go. Bye!